Yeah, I do want to say that the comments made by Board Member Mahika seem fairly responsible to me about appropriate overtime and whatnot. And Board Member Lacewell, when you spoke about the writing public having confidence in the appearance that overtime is being doled out properly, we agree with that as well. And I do want to drive home the point that the lack of confidence that the public most definitely has now is the person responsible for that is Larry, the chair of the Finance Committee, because on May 9th, the day before the special meeting, despite his denials, he was on CBS News ranting and raving in an inappropriate, hyperbolic manner about rampant abuse and fraud among transit workers.
That's not true, John. You should read. Why don't you read the transcript and watch the segment? Because you never watched it. You never read the transcript. If you read it, you know what you just said is a lie.
So it's not a lie. And in fact, I'm not done yet. In fact, on May 10th, at the special board meeting, he followed up his news commentary by laying out a whole bunch of nonsensical accusations that he believed supported there was a rampant fraud. And he did. One after the other, one after the other, and one after the other. So the appearance
I cited IG reports, John.
The appearance that there are problems with overtime were triggered by you. It's at your feet. And you know what? There's blood on your hands because transit workers were assaulted in the aftermath of your accusations about rampant fraud, which you still have not produced a lick of evidence about. No evidence, no nothing.
John.
And contrasting you to Board Member Mojica, spoke very responsibly. You spoke hyperbolically.
We have decorum here,
in a completely anti-worker manner. You're the one who's inappropriate here. I'm sorry, I missed everything you said because you interrupted me. You might not like it that I'm critical of Larry Schwartz. I understand that people think they're not supposed to be critical of Larry Schwartz.
No, but
you can be critical of me, John. You just got to tell the truth.
Hang on a second.
I got to tell the truth.
Commissioner Schwartz.
The whole room is laughing at that comment.
Commissioner Schwartz. Okay. Commissioner Weisel.
I would ask, and I see other members of the board doing the same, that the chair enforce appropriate decorum. People can express themselves, they can criticize, but this is not productive, it's not professional, and we are a fiduciary board that needs to be able to debate with some level of civility. And I'd ask the chair to please enforce that.
I have a question. What was inappropriate about my comments? That you didn't like what they were? Because I didn't interrupt anybody, yet all the other members of the board, the non-union members of the board who have not been targeted, interrupted me. Yet I didn't interrupt anybody. So what's the problem with my decorum? In fact, Chairman Foy, I would ask that you instruct the other members of the board not to interrupt the union when the union is defending our members who have come under an absolutely unfounded, inappropriate attack driven by a false narrative produced by Larry Schwartz.
We're not going to take a break. Commissioner Lacewell. Commissioner Brown.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
Yeah, turn-taking is one of the most basic elements of human discourse. You're supposed to learn it in kindergarten. I get angry at a lot of things people say here. I strive not to interrupt them. This is not Fox News. We should not be talking over each other. John had the floor, and unless Pat says, unless you have a point of order, a point of information, if you have a point of order, which would require a vote for some procedural thing we'd mix up, it's his responsibility whether to break into what he's saying or not. If he's out of order, it's up to the chair to make that decision. But interrupting them, talking over them, does, I don't know which one of you said, but it leads to a very negative, non-fiduciary, I mean, how do you have good faith in somebody that's interrupting you? I make lots of statements and I make lots of wrong statements, and I expect you to correct them, but I expect you to let me make my mistakes by myself rather than talk over me, so we argue. John had the floor, you should have let him alone.
Any other comments on this, or can we wrap this up? Andrew.
I think everybody around the table is all for finding ways to combat fraud if there's fraud, make sure that overtime is manageable and is done in the proper way, and particularly if that will end up saving the agency money, because I was a little alarmed, Pat, at your opening statement about coming service reductions this fall, which I had not heard about prior to that. It seems to me that the Alex partners, one of the things they emphasized was the last thing they wanted to touch, and all of their savings were meant so that service would not be harmed. So I was a little alarmed.
Yeah, so Andrew, 2 points. I said that about the subway and bus service adjustment because I thought the public ought to be told and I thought the board ought to be informed. I think on a positive note, Mr. Samuelsen endorsed Mr. Mahika's comments. I think that's an important thing. I think that Mr. Commissioner Mahika's comments were well said, and I think may represent the opportunity to kind of go forward on implementing both the substance and the tone and the spirit of his comments. With that, I'm going to turn to the agency presidents for a brief